What's up guys, welcome back to a new Dying Light 2 video. So ever since Techland released the Q&A, what people have mostly been talking about the whole time afterward has been about the guns. Tymon basically just told us that there's no guns inside the world of Dying Light 2.
There are no firearms in the world of Dying Light 2.
But that we will have handmade guns. He mentioned a handmade shotgun. He didn't really talk much further about it besides mentioning how it's just going to be the medieval times and that there's not going to be any type of modern weaponry. And the other thing he said about the handmade guns is that no one is going to be able to recreate a modern-esque type weapon.
No one is able to create professional firearms.
Basically, these handmade guns aren't going to be anything professional. And he even said about the handmade shotgun that it will have a durability and will break after a while. So yeah, these weapons aren't going to be anything like we saw in Dying Light 1 or anything like that. So I guess now I'll give you my opinion on this whole thing. I don't really care that much if there are guns in the game or not, but the way I would have done it if I was a developer, if I was Techland, I would have had modern guns in the game. I would have had only very powerful people or factions have the guns. Maybe something like a sniper or a pistol or a modern shotgun. Ammo would be scarce, so these guns wouldn't be something that are used regularly. If anything, my idea would be that the most powerful factions or people in the world would use these guns in emergency situations, or maybe possibly for some type of assassinations. I mean, if we look back at the demo when Frank got shot, it seemed to be some type of assassination, and the whole Frank situation is where a lot of my concerns come in. I mean, as we've talked about many times on this channel before, Frank got shot by what seemed to be a rather long-range weapon. I personally don't think it was meant to be a handmade weapon by anyone in that world. I mean, just rewatch the clip if you haven't seen it already.
It'll work out.
You so sure about that?
Frank!
But the gunshot sounds like it comes from a far away distance from the left. And then ultimately, about a second later after the gun shot, the bullet hits Frank, and you can actually see when Aiden looks over the edge too. People on the ground level, they looked really confused, and just my whole point here is that it was pretty obvious to me that no one on the ground level shot Frank. Again, I've covered this in other videos in the past, in my recent one about why you should stay with Frank. Oh yeah, I also forgot about the video that I made that says guns are in Dying Light 2, which looks a little weird now considering Tymon literally just came out and said there are no guns in the world of Dying Light 2, but that's alright. But anyway, my whole point with the Frank situation is that the gun that shot him is most likely a modern weapon. I mean, we can sit here and argue whether someone made that handmade. I personally just don't think that's the case. Seems like it came from such a range that if someone made that, especially the way Tymon is making it out to seem, he's making it out like these guns aren't going to be anything too great. After all, he said the shotgun's going to have some durability and will break over time. And I just can't imagine us having handmade weapons that are going to shoot that far. But ultimately, in my eyes, this does kind of seem like a giant plot hole. At this point, I'm wondering, because we know the scene where Frank gets shot, they're probably most likely going to keep that in the game. Unless they go back and somehow change that, get rid of the whole gun thing, somehow work around it, which would be just way too much work. At this point, I think that's just going to be something that we have to deal with, that there's someone out there that does have a modern gun, which, by the way, would kind of contradict what Tymon said, but it's just not going to be something that's accessible to the player. What I'm going to be most interested in seeing, though, is if we will actually be able to come across someone with a shotgun, like Tymon said so long ago.
Both, but maybe someone has some gun or maybe a shotgun, but that's basically a magic missile in this world. This is like a magic thing you can use to overcome any situation.
I mean, at this point, these things really just aren't aligning anymore after Tymon says there's no guns in the world of Dying Light 2. It's just, to a certain point, it's like, okay, Frank got shot, there's someone out there with a gun. Well, wait, I thought there was no guns in the world of Dying Light 2. Okay, but in 2019, Tymon said there's someone with a shotgun we could come across. Is that going to still be in the game? So it's kind of like, how much of this stuff is even going to be in the game? Is it all changed? How's it going to work? How's the Frank scene going to work, like I said? And it was funny, too, when Tymon was like, oh, like we've been saying in the past, guns aren't in Dying Light 2. Even though he had this interview where he's like, yeah, you can come up with someone with a shotgun and see him. So I'm going to think we're just going to have to wait till the game comes out to even figure this out, to be honest. But I mean, if we actually did get an answer to that, that'd be really nice. But it's just the fact that Tymon said so naturally, like, We've told you guys for a while now we don't have guns in the game. Even though we've had like pretty much no other information on guns besides a couple interviews, and in one of them he's like, oh yeah, you can roll up on someone that might have a shotgun in the world. And I'm even still wondering now, is he just talking about the player can't use a gun? Because he said clearly in the world of Dying Light 2 there's no guns. So by that logic, does that mean there's going to be people using guns that we can't necessarily see, but they're still going to be in the world? Like it's just so much confusion. Like, to be honest with you guys, this Q&A has brought a lot of confusion to me. Like, it might have cleared up some other answers, but the whole 2x map thing, it was 4x before, now we have this whole gun thing. This Q&A, like I said before, the Q&A was pretty good too, but it's just brought a lot of confusion to me. Another cool thing I guess I'll mention is the fact that with the handmade shotgun, he said we can actually dual wield that as well. So I guess that was kind of cool. I think he said dual wield with a machete maybe. The question I had after that was like, is that the only thing we can dual wield, or like, I mean, can we dual wield like other weapons? Because why would we only be able to dual wield a shotgun and a machete, and not like a machete and like a shield or like a pipe or something, you know what I mean? So I guess that's pretty much it for all this gun topic. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. Actually, I'm gonna call it the gun plot hole, because it pretty much is a plot hole with the whole Frank thing. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.